Travis's marriage was arranged by his mother. Emily was the daughter of her best friend, and both mothers had dreamed of this wedding for years. At first, Travis and Emily resisted their mom's wishes, but after spending time together, they started seeing each other differently. Suddenly, going on a date didn't seem so bad. They began dating seriously, but decided not to live together until they both finished college. After graduation, Travis suggested they find their own place and finally move in together. However, their parents kept pressuring them about getting married and having children. Emily and Travis ignored them, insisting they weren't ready for kids. They wanted to travel, explore, and enjoy life before settling down. At first, everything went well. Travis landed a great job, and after getting married, they took off on a dream honeymoon, excited for their future. But when they returned, reality hit hard. Travis was laid off. Suddenly, he had to search for a new job, but most employers wanted more experience or advanced skills that he didn't have yet. Desperate, he accepted the first job he could find, a tough factory position. The pay was stable, but it wasn't the life they had imagined. Emily, who hadn't planned on working yet, also had to start job hunting. From that moment, everything began to fall apart. Arguments became more frequent, and resentment grew between them. "I'm sick of living paycheck to paycheck. When will we ever have a normal life?" Emily yelled during one of their fights. "This is only temporary. We just need to be patient." Travis tried to reassure her. "Look at Samantha." Emily shot back. "Her husband, Brandon, buys her whatever she wants. She lives like a queen, and I—" Her voice broke. Travis looked at her, hurt. "Then why did you marry me? Go find your precious Brandon." "If that's what you want," Travis muttered bitterly. Emily's words cut him deep. He was doing his best to keep them afloat. But apparently, it wasn't enough. He had never seen this materialistic side of her before, and it left him shaken. At the factory, Travis confided in a co-worker, desperate to vent. The co-worker listened, then shared his own story. His first wife had constantly nagged about money and shopping until one day, he came home to an empty apartment. She had left him for a wealthy man, never to be seen again. That story haunted Travis. Could the same thing happen to him? Determined to prevent it, he took on extra work whenever he could. When he told Emily about his plan, she approved, but her voice carried a scornful edge instead of gratitude. One evening, after a long shift, Travis came home to find Emily dressed up, looking stunning. "Where are you off to?" he teased. She responded curtly, "Out." "Why do I have to pry everything out of you?" he snapped. "Who are you meeting? You ask dumb questions." "I don't feel like answering," she shot back. Frustrated, Travis stormed off to the bedroom, anger boiling inside him. It was obvious to everyone. Their relationship was falling apart. Then, one afternoon, Samantha, Emily's friend, the same one who supposedly had a perfect life with her husband Brandon, showed up at Travis's workplace unexpectedly. He was taken aback. He hadn't even thought she knew where he worked. She looked terrible, eyes red and swollen from crying. His heart pounded. Did something happen to Emily? Samantha shook her head and broke down again. "Brandon confessed this morning. He's been sleeping with Emily for a while," she blurted. Travis actually let out a nervous laugh. He didn't want to believe it. Could his co-worker's warning really have come true? "Are you sure?" he asked, knowing it was a ridiculous question. Samantha glared at him. "Of course I'm sure. You think I'd make this up?" Tears streamed down her face. Feeling guilty for doubting her, he apologized, then asked what she planned to do. She just shrugged helplessly. Travis suggested they meet later to talk. He had to get back to work, but his mind was in turmoil. All day, he kept replaying Samantha's revelation. Every suspicious moment from the past months suddenly made sense. All the signs he had ignored now stood out like flashing red lights. By the end of his shift, Travis felt like he was losing his grip on reality. Travis threw on his jacket, jumped in his car, and drove straight to the cafe. When he arrived, he found Samantha still crying. He sat with her, trying to calm her down, and, strangely enough, they ended up having a decent conversation. Samantha confessed that Brandon was far from the perfect prince he pretended to be. But Emily kept going on and on about how amazing he is, she muttered. Travis snorted. I used to think so, too. Until we got married, Samantha added dryly. After their talk, Travis drove home, determined to confront Emily. He rehearsed a few scathing lines in his head, wanted to hurt her the way she had hurt him. But when he walked through the door, he got an even bigger shock. Emily wasn't alone. Brandon was there, too. Travis froze in the doorway, catching their reflection in the foyer mirror. They were completely unclothed. The worst part? Emily was on her knees in front of him. So lost in the moment, she hadn't even noticed Travis had come home. For a second, he couldn't breathe. Was this really happening? Brandon, spotting Travis's reflection, cursed and grabbed the closest thing for cover. Travis's beloved crochet blanket, handmade by his mother. Something inside Travis snapped. With a roar, he lunged at Brandon, fists flying. They brawled furiously, knocking over furniture as Emily shrieked, desperately trying to separate them. In a panic, she grabbed a book and smacked Travis over the head. You crazy? He yelled, stumbling from the blow. You're going to kill him. Emily screamed back. That moment of distraction was all Brandon needed. He scrambled up, clutching his black eye, and fled the apartment half-dressed. Travis stood there, panting, fists still clenched. But as the rage settled, a strange relief washed over him. There were no shared assets, no house, no real ties left between him and Emily, nothing to fight for. The divorce was quick and brutal, filled with harsh words and cold glares. When his mother called him in tears, begging him to reconsider, he just let out a bitter laugh and hung up. A month after the divorce, Samantha called. This time, she sounded excited. I finally kicked Brandon out, she announced. About time, Travis chuckled. Feel like celebrating? She asked. They started talking more often, realizing they had far more in common than they had ever thought. Maybe all of this had happened for a reason. As for Emily, she moved in with Brandon, but it wasn't long before she saw his true colors. Beneath his smooth, charming exterior was a controlling, manipulative creep. Once he realized Emily had nowhere else to go, he tightened his grip, controlling her finances, her choices, her life. She was too ashamed to admit the truth to anyone, trapped in the same nightmare Samantha had once escaped. Did Travis feel bad for her? Not even a little. In his mind, she had made her choice, and now she had to live with it.